They called me a holiday parasite while spending the money I earned working double shifts. When I finally stopped paying, I didn't warn them. I just watched their world go dark, one account at a time. It was 2:47 in the morning when my phone lit up beside me, its glow slicing through the darkness of my tiny apartment. I should have been asleep. After 12 hours on my feet at the hospital, my body ached down to the bones, but exhaustion couldn't compete with that kind of insomnia you get when your soul's just tired. I groaned, reached for my phone, and that's when I saw it. A group chat. Family reality check. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Some scam or random spam message. But curiosity got the better of me, and within seconds, I wished it hadn't. The first message hit like a punch to the gut. Thank God she's covering the turkey again this year. No way I'm dropping $200 on that. My sister-in-law Rebecca. Then, she's so desperate to be included. She'll pay for anything. It's honestly sad. That was my brother, Marcus. And the one that broke me? Holiday parasite strikes again, money with wings, Christmas tree face with tears of joy. Vanessa. My cousin. I froze. My thumb hovered over the screen as my pulse thundered in my ears. Slowly, I scrolled upward, and that's when the full horror sank in. The chat wasn't new. It had been active for 3 years. 3 entire years. 3 years of them mocking me, laughing behind my back, sending screenshots of my Venmo payments with laughing emojis. There were jokes about my nurse salary. About how dumb I was for never realizing they were using me. My own mother had sent a gif of someone throwing money into a fire, captioned, Ashley's Christmas spirit fire face with tears of joy. That's me, Ashley. The family ATM. My throat tightened as I kept scrolling. There were betting pools. I'm not kidding, actual bets about what I'd pay for next. My aunt had apparently won $50 when I volunteered to cover hotel rooms for our family trip to Colorado last year. $50. They turned my kindness into a side hustle. I sat there in the dark, staring at my cracked phone screen, surrounded by secondhand furniture and the faint hum of my fridge. My apartment, the one I could barely afford because every month I was sending money home. Every holiday. Every birthday. Every so-called emergency. And now, through the cruel glow of their messages, I realized my mom's medical bills, the $3,000 I'd scraped together working overtime, had actually gone toward her cruise with her boyfriend. Then came a message that nearly made me drop the phone. Should we tell her we're doing Christmas at the cabin this year? She'll totally pay for the rental if we say mom's heart can't handle the stress of hosting. Genius. Just mention mom's health and she'll open her wallet like a trained seal. A trained seal. I blinked hard, but the tears still spilled. My chest ached. My stomach turned. Every kind thing I'd ever done for them, every time I'd thought I was helping, had been nothing more than ammunition for their jokes. And then, I saw her name. My little sister, Emily. The same Emily I'd helped through college. The same one I'd paid textbooks for, meal plans, even sorority dues when she cried about feeling left out. Ash is working another holiday shift this year. More money for us. Maybe I'll finally get that Gucci bag I want since she's covering Christmas dinner and mom's gifts. You're evil, Em. Please. She makes it too easy. I could barely breathe. My vision blurred as I scrolled. I'd spent years feeling guilty for having a stable income when everyone else struggled. Every time I went home, someone had a story. Dad's truck needed repairs, Marcus couldn't afford gifts for his kids, grandma's medication was too expensive. But the truth? Marcus had posted photos from Vegas 3 days after I sent him $800 for those kids' presents. Rebecca was flashing new designer purses every month. Emily's apartment looked like it belonged in a lifestyle magazine. They weren't struggling. They were thriving on my paycheck. Each message I uncovered cut deeper than the last. They mocked my weight. My clothes. Even my job. Vanessa had written a whole rant about how I wore a dress from Target to her wedding. What do you expect from someone who spends all her money on other people? The irony was breathtaking. They shamed me for not spending money on myself, while living off the money I didn't spend on myself. And then came the messages from Easter. Mom had told me she was hosting 20 people and needed help covering costs. I'd sent $1,500 without hesitation. But the chat told the real story. Only 8 people coming. Ashley doesn't need to know. The extra can cover my Botox appointment. LOL. My hands were trembling. My mother, the woman who'd raised me, had taken money I earned from 12-hour shifts wiping blood and tears and used it for Botox. I'd seen her post a selfie that week. Blessed and grateful for family. I almost laughed. Almost. Then I reached the thread from my last birthday. My 32nd. I'd spent it alone with a single cupcake after a double shift. I'd posted a small photo, one candle, one caption, another year wiser. They saw it too. Did you see Ashley's sad little birthday post? So pathetic. Maybe if she wasn't working all the time, she'd have friends. She works all the time so she can send us money. Rebecca had even sent a gif of someone crying into a cupcake. 15 laugh reacts. That same day, Marcus had called me, crying, saying his power got shut off. I'd picked up an extra shift, sent him $400, and spent my birthday alone. 2 days later, he posted photos of his new $2,000 gaming setup. I kept scrolling. Each emergency I'd helped with, the broken furnace, the overdue rent, the unpaid bills, every one was a lie. They turned manipulation into a group sport. Then I found something that shattered me completely. A message from Mom. Ashley just asked if she can bring someone to Christmas dinner. Some guy from her hospital. Told her there's no space, LOL. Can't have her distracted from her role as family ATM. Derek. That was his name. I'd been seeing him for 3 months. I was so excited to introduce him to everyone. When Mom told me there wasn't enough space, I'd apologized. Derek and I broke up 2 months later. He said I was never available, that I put my family above everything. And the worst part? He wasn't wrong. My family had orchestrated my isolation. Every boyfriend, every friend, every attempt I made to have a life beyond them, they sabotaged it. Because as long as I was lonely, I was loyal. And loyal meant money. I scrolled to the bottom of the chat. The messages were still active. Is Ashley coming this year? Need to know if we should bother cooking or if she'll just pay for catering again. Oh, she'll come. Where else would she go? She's got no life outside of work and being our personal Santa Claus. That's when something inside me changed. The shaking stopped. The tears dried. And what replaced them wasn't sadness. It was something sharper. Colder. They thought I had no life. That I'd keep paying. That I'd keep begging for scraps of affection. I stared at the chat for a long, silent minute, and then I opened my laptop. If they wanted a Christmas to remember, I'd give them one. That the next morning, I woke up with the kind of calm that doesn't come from peace, but from purpose. It was that eerie, steady stillness that comes after a storm, when everything inside you has already broken, and now all that's left to do is rebuild, or burn it all down. So I started with the numbers. First stop, every payment app, every subscription, every automatic withdrawal that had been quietly bleeding me dry for years. Hulu? Mine. Netflix? Mine. Costco membership? Oh, that one really stung. My mother's boyfriend used it every weekend, and I'd been footing the bill the whole time. And then came the kicker. The cell phone plan. 6 lines. Marcus, Rebecca, Emily, Mom, Dad, and me. All under my name. All charged to my account. I did the math. 3 years. Over $4,000. Just on phone bills. Then came Disney Plus, which my nieces and nephews used more than I ever had. Spotify Family, Amazon Prime, so they could enjoy free 2-day shipping, of course, even Mom's iCloud storage, 2 terabytes filled with her selfies and photos from vacations I never got invited to. All mine. All paid for by me. But that was just the surface. I'd kept meticulous records, because I genuinely believed I was helping my family. I used to tell myself I was just being responsible. So I had everything documented in neat little spreadsheets for tax purposes. And when I pulled it up, the total made my stomach turn. $12,000 for last year's Christmas alone, the cabin, the food, the gifts, the gas money for their drives. $8,000 for Thanksgiving across 3 years. $15,000 in emergency loans that were never repaid, car repairs, medical bills, rent. $6,000 for Emily's tuition, meal plans, and sorority fees. $3,500 for Marcus's kids' birthdays and gifts. $4,200 in phone bills. $7,200 in streaming services. $5,800 in insurance payments and warranties. $4,100 for medical emergencies that were actually vacations. $3,200 for Mom's subscription boxes. $2,900 for Rebecca's meal kit delivery. $1,100 in random crisis transfers. $73,000. $73,000. I sat there staring at the number. I could have bought a house, paid off my student loans, taken a real vacation. Instead, I'd been financing their lives, their luxuries, their wine-fueled dinners, their spa weekends, while I was living on instant ramen and stale coffee. They called me a parasite. But the truth? I was the host, and they were the ones feeding off me. So I made a decision. If they wanted to drain me dry, they'd better learn what it feels like to live without my blood. First, I took screenshots, every group chat message, every payment, every sob story text they'd ever sent. I wanted receipts, literal and digital. Then, I started cutting the cord. But not recklessly. No. I'm a nurse, we don't yank out an 4 without checking the chart first. You plan. You prep. You make sure the patient doesn't sue you for malpractice afterward. So I opened a brand new email account. Something no one in my family could trace. Then I went through every single service, one by one, changing the login, the recovery phone, the 2-factor authentication. My new email. My new number. My new world. Once every account was secure under my name and my control, I began the slow, satisfying process of dismantling their empire. The phone plan came first. 6 lines, $340 a month. I logged into Verizon and checked the usage data. Marcus, nearly 50 gigabytes of data a month, streaming sports and YouTube. Rebecca, hours of TikTok and Instagram every day. Emily, international calls to her boyfriend studying in France, that explained the extra $180 charges every month. Dad barely used his. Mom, on the other hand, had apparently discovered the joys of TikTok at 57. I downloaded every statement from the last 3 years, then called customer service. Hi, I need to remove all secondary lines immediately. The rep hesitated. Are you sure, ma'am? They'll lose their numbers. Good, I said, my voice flat. Disconnect them all. They'd have 48 hours before the lines went dark. I set a calendar reminder to watch it happen. Then came the streaming services. Netflix first. I logged in and checked the profiles. Marcus, true crime binges. Rebecca, reality TV about rich housewives. Emily, romantic comedies and teen dramas. Mom, British baking shows, over and over again. I deleted every profile except mine. Changed the password. Logged out all devices. Next, Hulu, Disney Plus, HBO Max, Paramount Plus. All gone. 7 streaming platforms, nearly $100 a month, and I hadn't had time to watch a single episode of anything in years. Next, Costco. Oh, that was enlightening. I could see the entire purchase history. Mom had been going twice a week. Groceries, sure, but also $600 patio furniture, $300 mixers, cases of premium wine. And Marcus? He'd been buying car parts, including a full set of winter tires. You know, the same tires I supposedly gave him $500 to fix. I canceled the membership and requested a prorated refund. $93 came back to me. A small victory, but it tasted sweet. Then came Mom's iCloud. She'd been using my 2TB storage plan to back up her entire digital kingdom. Photos, videos, documents, all on my dime. So I downgraded to the free 5GB plan. Within seconds, her backups failed. Notifications would start flooding in. Storage full. Backup failed. She'd lose nothing permanently, but it'd take her weeks to figure out why. I could practically see it, her, squinting at her iPhone, calling Marcus for help. Marcus realizing his phone service had vanished. Rebecca realizing Hulu wouldn't load. The dominoes starting to fall. Next up, insurance. Marcus's car insurance had been bundled with mine, $215 a month. I called the provider. Please remove his vehicle immediately. The rep warned me there'd be a gap in coverage. Then he'd better walk carefully, I said. Emily's gym membership was next. $89 a month for a luxury fitness center she needed for her mental health. Meanwhile, my mental health was being held together by caffeine and sarcasm. Cancelled. Then the subscription boxes. Oh, my God. 3 of them, all for Mom. Monthly deliveries of makeup, snacks, and books. A total of $140 a month. Gone. Rebecca's meal kit subscription? $240 a month. I'd been paying for it because she didn't have time to cook for the kids. Meanwhile, I was microwaving noodles at 2 a.m. between double shifts. Cancelled. Each click was cathartic, like reclaiming tiny fragments of myself. Piece by piece, dollar by dollar. By the time I was done, I sat back in my chair and exhaled. My laptop screen glowed softly in the dark. My chest felt light, empty, but in a way that almost felt freeing. They'd wake up soon. Their phones would stop working, their shows wouldn't load, their orders wouldn't ship. And when they realized what had happened, when the silence of their disconnected world finally set in, they'd understand exactly what they'd lost. Not just the money. By the time the clock struck 7 a.m., I was knee-deep in what could only be described as financial triage. Every lingering charge, every forgotten payment, every hidden bleed in my bank account, I was cauterizing it all. Dad's roadside assistance plan? Cancelled. The extended warranty I'd bought for Marcus's giant flat screen? Gone. Emily's annual meditation app, the one she swore was essential for her mental clarity? $95 a year, gone. I dug through 17 months of credit card statements, my eyes scanning line after line of transactions that told a story I didn't want to read. 43 recurring charges. 43 ways I'd been silently bled dry. Some were small, $5 subscriptions that flew under the radar. Others were heavier. Like the $200 a month I'd been donating to Grandma's care fund. Except, plot twist, Grandma didn't need a care fund. The group chat had already enlightened me. She lived comfortably in a subsidized senior community, fully covered by healthcare. The fund? That was Marcus's little side hustle to pay off his boat. A boat. The man literally used our grandmother as emotional bait to fund his late days, and still didn't even let her on it. I'd seen the messages, she'd asked to go, and he'd made excuses. By the time I was done, I'd cancelled or transferred all 43 services. My monthly expenses dropped by $1,847. That was $22,000 a year I'd been spending on people who called me a holiday parasite. The absurdity hit me like a slap. I started laughing. Then crying. Then laughing again, until I was sitting on my kitchen floor, gasping for air and wiping away tears that were equal parts grief and relief. When I finally caught my breath, I opened my laptop and drafted an email to my landlord. I wouldn't be renewing my lease. I'd been month to month anyway. 3 more months, and I was gone. Then I pulled up the job listing I'd turned down last year, the one in Portland, 3 states away. A position at one of the top hospitals in the region. I'd said no back then because my mother had cried, "Who will help us if you leave?" The posting was still open. So I emailed the director. "Hello, this is Ashley Green. We spoke last year regarding the critical care position. I'd like to revisit that conversation." By 5 a.m., I'd filed chargebacks on 3 emergency loans I'd sent my family. Each had been labeled as a medical expense, but their own Instagram post showed what the money really funded: weekend trips, luxury goods, nights out. And you know what? That's fraud. Credit card fraud. Lying about a medical emergency to get money? Also fraud. I wasn't pressing charges, yet. But I had the proof saved, every screenshot, every timestamp, every lie. Then I wrote the message that would end everything. I opened the Family Reality Check group chat, the one they'd so kindly added me to, and attached a 37-page PDF. It contained every payment I'd ever made for them. Every Venmo, every transfer, every bill. Dated, labeled, organized. Then, I typed, "Hi everyone. I see I was accidentally added to this chat. How convenient. Since I'm apparently a holiday parasite, I've decided to stop feeding the hosts. Attached, you'll find documentation of every payment I've made to this family over the past 5 years, totaling $73,249. Consider it my final Christmas gift, the truth about who the real parasites are." All shared services and subscriptions have been cancelled, effective immediately. The phone plan disconnects in 48 hours. I will not be attending Christmas this year, or any year after. I will not be available for emergency loans, holiday funding, or financial support of any kind. For anyone confused about why, scroll up. You spent 3 years making it very clear how you feel about me. I finally believe you. Merry Christmas. Don't contact me again. Then I hit send. And that was it. I blocked every single one of them. Deleted Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everything. I didn't want to see their apologies or excuses. I didn't want to give them a platform for guilt. The thing about going nuclear? You can't half commit. No hesitation. No looking back. Within minutes, my phone started buzzing, unknown numbers flashing across the screen. I powered it off and dropped it face down on the counter. That same morning, I accepted every available holiday shift at the hospital. From November 1st through January 15th, 75 days straight. Time and a half pay, double on holidays. When I did the math, the number almost made me laugh again. Roughly $47,000 in just over 2 months. So I worked. I slept. Then I worked again. No family. No noise. No guilt. Just work. At first, my coworkers noticed the change. I'd always been polite, friendly, but distant. Always rushing off to answer some urgent family text. But now, I stayed. I went out for after-shift drinks. Joined the hospital's book club. Even went to a Thanksgiving potluck at my colleague Jennifer's house, where I met her family. Normal people. People who didn't treat generosity like a weakness to exploit. The weeks between my family's implosion and Thanksgiving felt surreal. Like I was living in a vacuum, a world scrubbed clean of their noise. My old phone stayed off except for hospital calls on my new number. I made a new email, forwarded only work-related messages. The rest, all of it, vanished into digital oblivion. At work, my focus sharpened. Without the constant emotional drain of managing fake crises, I could breathe. I caught a medication error before it reached a patient. I noticed a change in a man's vitals that could have led to a stroke, and prevented it. My supervisor, Linda, pulled me aside after that one. "Whatever's changed with you," she said, smiling, "keep doing it. You've always been good, but lately, you're exceptional." I didn't tell her that exceptional was what happens when you finally stop being bled dry by your own family. And then came the first real test. 3 weeks in. I was restocking 4 supplies in the ICU when I heard it, a voice I hadn't heard in months. Ashley Morrison? I froze. No one at work knew that name. I'd already started using my new one, Ashley Green, on all documents. I turned. And there she was. Emily. Standing in the doorway, small and trembling, eyes wide and red. "You can't be here," I said immediately. "This is a restricted area. Family consult rooms are on the 2nd floor." "Ashley, please," she whispered. "Just 5 minutes. Security." My voice was calm, professional. "Unauthorized visitor in ICU." Emily's face crumpled. "Ash, come on. I drove 4 hours." A guard appeared seconds later, fast, efficient. Our unit didn't play around with security breaches. "This person isn't authorized to be here," I said, without hesitation. "Please escort her out." Emily's voice broke. "Ashley, I'm your sister." I met her eyes. Cold, steady. "I don't have a sister." Her sob caught in her throat as they led her away. And me? I felt nothing. No guilt. No sadness. Just quiet. This was the same girl who'd laughed about me being a trained SEAL. Who'd spent my money on handbags and called me pathetic. 5 minutes of tears didn't erase 3 years of cruelty. 10 minutes later, Linda found me in the supply closet, inventory clipboard in hand. "You want to talk about it?" she asked gently. "Nothing to talk about," I said, counting saline bags like a machine. "Someone tried to access a restricted area. Security handled it." She said she was your sister. I didn't look up. "I don't have a sister." Linda studied me for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Okay. But if you ever do want to talk, my office door's open. And for what it's worth, you handled that perfectly. Professional. No drama." I nodded once, silently. After she left, I finished counting, logged the numbers, and went back to my patients. Routine. Structure. Order. The things that kept me steady. Now that the chaos was gone, Thanksgiving came, my first one without them. Jennifer's invitation had been genuine, not a polite, half-hearted offer meant out of pity. And for the first time in years, I said yes. I showed up at her house with an expensive bottle of wine and a sweet potato casserole I'd actually made myself. Both things I couldn't have afforded, or allowed myself, in my old life. The moment I stepped inside, I was hit by warmth. Real warmth. The house smelled like roasted turkey and cinnamon candles, and it sounded like laughter, messy, loud, chaotic laughter that bounced off every wall. Jennifer's husband, Tom, was in the kitchen telling dad jokes while trying, and failing, to carve the turkey evenly. Their 3 kids were racing through the living room with foam swords, screaming something about dragons and honor. And in the middle of it all sat Jennifer's mom, Carol, flour on her apron, smile on her face, teaching the youngest how to roll out pie crust. When she saw me, she wiped her hands on her apron and said, "You must be Ashley. Jennifer talks about you all the time, the brilliant nurse who never complains about double shifts." "That's me," I said awkwardly, not used to compliments that weren't followed by a request for money. "Well," she said kindly, "we're glad you're here. Jennifer said you're alone for the holidays." There it was, the inevitable question. "My family and I aren't in contact anymore," I said carefully. "Toxic situation. It's better this way." Carol just nodded. "Good for you," she said softly. Too many people stay in harmful situations because they're told they have to. Family should make you feel loved, not used. That word, used, hit deeper than she could have known. Validation from a stranger carried more weight than any apology I'd ever begged for. Dinner was imperfect in all the best ways. The turkey was a little dry, the green beans too salty, one of the kids spilled cranberry juice across the tablecloth, and nobody cared. Everyone laughed, cleaned it up, and kept eating. Carol told a story about the year she accidentally served a still-frozen turkey to 20 guests. "We ordered pizza," she said, grinning. "Best Thanksgiving we ever had. That was the year we stopped pretending everything had to be perfect. I thought about all those Christmases I'd paid for, the catered dinners, the elaborate decorations, the rented cabins. All that money spent trying to make something beautiful for people who mocked me behind my back. This dinner, this loud, messy, human dinner with near strangers, was better than all of it." Afterward, while the kids played board games, Jennifer and I sat on her porch with steaming mugs of coffee. The night air was cool, filled with the sound of laughter through the windows. "Thank you for inviting me," I said. "This was really nice." "Thank you for coming," she said. "I know it probably feels weird spending holidays with coworkers." I hesitated, then smiled. "You're more than a coworker. You're a friend. Maybe my only real one." Jennifer's expression softened. "Ash," she said quietly, "what happened with your family? You don't have to tell me, but I've worked with you for 3 years. You've changed so much this past month. You're lighter. Like you finally put something heavy down." So I told her. Not every detail, but enough: the group chat, the lies, the money, the betrayal. Her face went through a dozen emotions: shock, anger, disbelief, sorrow. $73,000, she repeated when I finished. "Ashley, that's financial abuse." The words made me blink. Abuse feels like a strong term. Jennifer shook her head. "No, it's the right one. They manipulated you, lied to you, isolated you, exploited your kindness. That's abuse. The fact they're family just makes it worse." Something cracked inside me then, not pain, exactly, but recognition. The truth settling in. "I feel stupid," I admitted. "Like I should have seen it sooner." Jennifer smiled sadly. "Con artists target smart people, Ash. Because smart people think they're too smart to be conned. You're not stupid, you're kind. They weaponized that. That's on them, not you." Inside, her teenage daughter was complaining that her phone was too old. Jennifer called out, "You can buy a new one when you've saved up your allowance." Nobody expected anyone else to foot the bill. No guilt, no manipulation, just accountability. The normalcy of it hit me so hard I had to take a long sip of coffee to hide the tears pricking my eyes. December 24th. The hospital was quieter than usual, the kind of stillness that comes right before visiting hours. I was midway through a 12-hour ICU shift when I heard a woman's voice at the nurse's station. "I'm looking for my daughter," she said. "She's a nurse here. Her name's Ashley Morrison." I looked up. Even after all these months, I recognized her instantly. My mother. She looked thinner. Older. Her hair was shorter now, styled in a way that tried too hard to look put together. But her eyes, those desperate, pleading eyes, hadn't changed at all. "I'm sorry," I said calmly, my voice steady. "There's no one here by that name." It wasn't technically a lie. I'd filed for my legal name change 2 months earlier, and even though the paperwork wasn't finalized yet, I'd already stopped being Ashley Morrison in every way that mattered. "Please," she begged. "I know she works here. I need to talk to her." Before I had to say another word, security arrived. Apparently, she'd been causing a scene in the lobby for an hour. They escorted her out as she screamed my old name down the corridor. I didn't flinch. My hands didn't shake. I simply turned back to my notes and kept writing. January 3rd. The Portland hospital officially offered me the position, head nurse, cardiac unit. $40,000 more a year, signing bonus, relocation package. I accepted within the hour. By mid-January, my name change was finalized. Ashley Morrison was gone. Ashley Green, my grandmother's maiden name, was who I was now. New driver's license. New nursing license. New life. My apartment in Portland was twice the size of my old one, with tall windows and a rooftop garden overlooking the city. I bought real furniture, a proper bed, a couch that didn't sink in the middle, art for the walls. And then, on a quiet Saturday morning, I adopted a cat, a gray tabby with bright green eyes. I named her Phoenix. Because I'd risen from the ashes of who I used to be. Emails from my old life trickled in for months. I didn't open them, they went straight to a folder I labeled Dead to Me. But in March, curiosity got the better of me. My mother's messages were long, manipulative essays about family obligation and forgiveness. Rebecca sent 2 sentences blaming everything on postpartum depression, from 4 years ago. Marcus said I'd misunderstood the context of the chat. But Emily's message stopped me cold. "You paid for my education, and I called you stupid. You're the smartest person I know. I don't deserve forgiveness, but I want you to know I'm sorry. I've started paying you back. It'll take years, but I'm putting $200 in a savings account every month in your name. If you never want to speak to me again, I understand. But I'm sorry. Really, truly sorry." I didn't respond. But I didn't delete it either. The others could rot, but hers stayed. A seed of something that might, one day, grow into forgiveness. Then there was an email from my father. He'd rarely spoken in the group chat, I'd noticed that much, but seeing his name now still made my stomach tighten. "Ashley, I didn't know about the group chat until your mother showed me the screenshots. I saw everything, what they said, what I ignored. You deserved better, especially from me. I should have protected you. I filed for divorce last week. I'm living in an apartment now, seeing a therapist, trying to understand how I let this happen. I'm not asking for forgiveness or for a second chance. I just needed you to know that I see it now. I see you. And I'm proud of you. I love you. Dad. I read it 3 times, then closed my laptop. Some bridges you burn yourself. Some burn all on their own. And some just collapse under the weight of years of cracks you never saw forming. Spring arrived in Portland with cherry blossoms and steady rain. I started dating a teacher named Michael, kind eyes, quick humor, the kind of man who thought my dedication to my work was admirable, not something to take advantage of. We took cooking classes together. He paid for his share. Always. Jennifer invited me to her family's Easter dinner. Carol hugged me when I walked in and asked gently about my family. I don't have one anymore, I said. She smiled softly and pulled me into another hug. You do now, honey. I cried in her bathroom for 10 minutes, then came out and ate 3 helpings of ham. By April, I paid off my student loans in one click, $32,000 gone in an instant. I stared at the zero balance, feeling lighter than I ever had in my life. In May, a cashier's check arrived for $1,000. Emily's handwriting on the note. First payment. Many more to come. Found your address in the court records. I'm not stalking you, I promise. I deposited it. Then sent a single text to the number she'd included. Acknowledged. By June, the past tried one more time to find me. I came home to find my mother sitting outside my apartment building. Security will remove you if I call them, I said, walking past her. Ashley, please, she said. That's not my name anymore. You're my daughter. I stopped, turned to face her. She looked smaller than I remembered. Diminished. A stranger wearing my mother's face. My daughter died, I said quietly, the day she realized her family saw her as a wallet with legs. I looked at my watch. You have 60 seconds to leave before I call the police. She left in 45, and for the first time in my life, I didn't look back. That night, I opened my laptop and wrote a short email to my father. Acknowledged your message. Not ready to talk. Maybe someday. Focus on yourself. He replied 10 minutes later. That's more than I deserve. Thank you. And somehow, that quiet exchange, that simple honesty, felt heavier than all the shouting matches I'd ever had with my family combined. Summer in Portland was golden and alive. The air smelled like pine and espresso, and for the first time in forever, I wasn't working overtime to escape my life, I was actually living it. Michael and I hiked Mount Hood, the trail winding up through wildflowers and clouds. I took a vacation, a real vacation, to Greece, something I'd dreamed of since college but had always put off because someone needed help. Now, nobody needed me. Not for bills, not for bailouts, not for anything but my company. I posted pictures on my new private Instagram, just 30 followers, all people I'd met in the last year. Real people. No family, no ghosts from the past. Just me smiling under blue skies, tasting freedom in every photo. It was peace, the kind that didn't need proving. In August, another envelope arrived from back east. Inside, a check for $500 and a note from Emily. Got a promotion. Sending extra this month. Told Marcus and Rebecca what I'm doing, they think I'm stupid for giving you money you don't even need. That's how I know it's the right thing. You deserved better. I'm trying to be better. M. I stared at her handwriting for a long time before responding. Proud of your promotion. Use half that money for yourself. I mean it. Her reply came an hour later. Only if you promise to let me take you to dinner if you're ever back east. No agenda. Just sisters eating overpriced pasta. I didn't promise. But I didn't say no, either. By September, the mornings were crisp, and I realized something simple but profound. I had rebuilt my entire life in less than a year. New name. New city. New job. New relationships. Everything the old Ashley had been too afraid to reach for, because she was too busy being everyone else's safety net. The new Ashley, Ashley Green, wasn't afraid anymore. To mark it, I got a tattoo. A phoenix, wings unfurled, flames curling along my shoulder blade. The artist asked gently, rebirth? Yeah, I said. Rebirth. She smiled. Those are the best kind. October came with red leaves and cold air. One afternoon, I found a small package on my doorstep. Inside was a forest green scarf, hand-knitted, uneven, with a few dropped stitches, and a note. Your grandmother taught me to knit before she passed. I'm not good at it yet, but I'm trying. Stay warm. No response needed. Dad. The scarf was lopsided, imperfect, and perfect. I wore it every cold day that fall. The first anniversary of the message, that fateful night I'd hit send on the family chat, fell on a random Tuesday. I came home from a night shift, exhausted, and found 2 things waiting. A check from Emily, she hadn't missed a single month, and an email from Dad with photos of him serving meals at a homeless veteran shelter. Trying to be useful to people who actually need help, he'd written. Trying to be someone you could be proud of again someday. I didn't reply, but I smiled. Christmas was 8 weeks away. Michael asked if I wanted to spend it with his family in Seattle. Jennifer invited me to hers again. For the first time in my life, I had options, people who wanted my presence, not my presence. I chose Jennifer's. Her home felt like love made tangible. Christmas Eve arrived. I worked a half shift, then drove to Jennifer's. The house was warm, filled with chaos and laughter. Her kids performed a lopsided nativity play, the family dog played a very confused sheep. Tom's jokes were terrible, her mom's cooking was delicious, and Michael kept refilling my glass of wine with a grin. No tension. No fake smiles. No hidden scorecards. Just joy. After dinner, while everyone played a board game, I checked my email. A new message from Emily. Merry Christmas. I'm not expecting a response. Just wanted you to know I think about you every day. Still sorry. Still paying back. Still trying. Hope you're happy, wherever you are. I took a deep breath, then typed. Merry Christmas, M. I'm happy. Keep being better. That's enough. Her reply came almost instantly. You responded. Best Christmas gift ever. Love you, sis. I stared at those words. Love you, sis. Part of me wanted to type it back. Part of me wasn't ready. So instead, I wrote, talk next year. Her reply came seconds later. Maybe is enough. Thank you. I closed my laptop and walked back into the living room. Jennifer's daughter was trying to balance a Santa hat on the dog's head while everyone cheered her on. Michael handed me a mug of wine, kissed my forehead, and whispered, Merry Christmas. I smiled, a real smile, the kind that doesn't hurt. Someone started a board game argument. Someone else laughed so hard they snorted. This was what the holidays were supposed to be. Joy without transaction. Love without a price tag. A year ago, I'd been the holiday parasite, pouring my savings into people who saw me as nothing more than a walking wallet. Now, I was just Ashley. Free. Happy. Whole. And I'd learned something vital. The best revenge isn't destruction. It's reconstruction. You burn down who you were. And you build someone better from the ashes. Almost never, but sometimes, I still looked back. On New Year's Eve, as fireworks lit up the Portland sky, another message came. From my father. I know you're not ready. I may never be forgiven, and I've accepted that. But I wanted you to know, I'm divorcing your mother. I'm in therapy. I've cut off everyone who was in that chat. I'm living differently now. Not for you, for me. So I can look in the mirror again. You deserve a father who protected you. I'm becoming that man, even if it's too late. Happy New Year, sweetheart. I didn't respond. Not yet. But I saved it. Some relationships can be salvaged. Some can't. The trick is knowing which ones deserve the effort. As midnight approached, Michael wrapped his arms around me and asked, what do you want this year? I looked around, at the laughter, the music, the life I'd built. More of this, I said. More peace. More joy. More people who love me for me, not for what I can give them. He smiled. That's not too much to ask. For the first time in my life, I believed him. The new year arrived with champagne, laughter, and hope. Once upon a time, I'd paid for everyone's Christmas, every gift, every smile, every ounce of holiday cheer. Now, I'd paid for something far more valuable. My freedom. The best investment I ever made.